bit quieter there. So I've heard that some of you are not in this week, so we'll be working online with me. Some of you will be in college, so you'll be working with Kay. It's only for this week. Next week I'll be back in college and everything will be back to normal. So last week we were looking at origami packaging design for Unit 10. Let me pop that up. And then I had a chatting tutorial with those of you who turned up, and we spoke about how now that you've handed in Catherine's unit, you'll be working on Unit 10 with her as well, and so we thought it might be a really good idea to switch back to fashion so that we had some fun doing something practical. We could make garments, design them, make them, pattern cut them, with no pressure of having a brief or no pressure of having a unit to have to tick boxes with. So we could just have the fun of the making it, learning how to pattern cut, practicing all the skills that we did in September without the pressure of it having to be formally assessed. So that's the plan today. So we're still going to apply all of our fashion design skills, we're still going to produce something, I'm still going to mark it, but I'll mark it in a way for giving you feedback and for thinking about predicted grades, but it won't have to be something that you're handing in and resubmitting. Okay? So here's the overall plan. We need to design, we need to tweak that, and that's part of a conversation that you and I need to have one-to-one, where we have a look at what your ideas are, how possible they are, especially since this will be the first garment that most of you have made, and so we'll have to do some, maybe some tweaks to the design, we'll have to play around with the technical drawing to make sure it's something that you can achieve, or maybe try out some techniques first before we give it a shot. Then we're going to produce the pattern, produce the garment, and then hopefully photograph the garment in the studio so that you can use it for portfolios going forward, and so you've got a record of what you've achieved. I'd like us to document all of this, so if you have a look at the blue on the slide, I'd like you to document it in any way which works for you, and so that might be a PowerPoint document, a digital thing like a blog, you might want to put it in a file, a sketchbook, a folder, a big box file where you just kind of put all your papers in. However works for you, but I want you to gather together everything that we do so that we can use it as evidence for your final grade at the end of the year, because we don't want to be doing work that doesn't count for anything. We need to make sure that we're evidencing all of the skills that we're using. So this is the plan for today, and this is what we need to figure out. Two things. First thing is whether you want to design and make a fashion garment or a costume garment. So I've put here in blue some things to think about. If it's fashion, you need to think about either some kind of trend, a target market, or a style tribe that you're going to be aiming your garment at so that you can get some ideas flowing. If you're going to be making a costume garment, you need to be thinking about either a film, a play, a book, something that you're going to base your costume on, something that you can think about what's appropriate, think about a character, think about maybe a time period, maybe some kind of alternate world, which whatever kind of thing you want to design for, we need some kind of scope. I've also put on there you could think about a performer, so it might be that you're doing something for someone's music tour or video. It doesn't just have to be a television or a film. So really think wide if you're going to do costume about what you'd like to achieve. The second thing we need to figure out is what your idea is and what you want to take inspiration from. And so that leads us on to task one, which is creating a mood board for your theme. So I need some kind of visual board which tells me what you're taking inspiration from, what your ideas are. It might have things like shapes, details. It might have just a key inspirational image of some kind of shape that you want to create. There's nothing to do with the fabric or nothing to do with a garment, but it's just some weird shape that you'd like to explore on the body. That's fine. I just need some rough annotations and keywords so that when we sit down together to start pattern cutting next week and to start figuring out our technical drawings, we both know that we're on the same page. After you've done that, we need to start designing. So this is using all of the skills that we used in September and putting them into practice. So there were 3 different design techniques that we tried out. The first one was draping on the stand. So you had the mini wooden mannequins. You started to take fabrics, play around with shapes, and then use those shapes to create designs from. So that's one way that you could approach it. The second way is working from fabric. So this was scanning in or photocopying fabrics and textures to start collaging designs onto the body. And we did that by hand and digitally. So you've got two options within that. And then the third one is working from imagery. So this is where we had a key inspirational image and we started to design shapes, silhouettes and details from that image. So you can use a combination of all of these, parts of one and parts of another. You could work through just the one that really kind of spoke to you and that you really loved doing, because this is the point of us doing this fashion. It's about taking something that we've taken all of the grading criteria away. We've taken all of the stuff that's never that fun away. And this is our chance to do the fun bit. You have free reign on your theme. You have free reign on what you want to design. So really go out there and push it and do whatever you really, really want to do. I'm excited, clearly. If you're not sure about where you want to get started, I've given you some starting points here. This is on Google Arts and Culture, and if you scroll down to the middle, there is a fashion section, and there are some images from fashion designers, and also they show you through the details, particularly on this Alexander McQueen one that I've highlighted. You can scroll around the garments, and they have a short video about each garment showing you the details and the shapes and maybe some interesting techniques about it. And so if you choose to use that, don't forget to take some notes or make some sketches and think about the ideas for your mood board. So, in summary, today we need some kind of visual board that tells me and Kay what your plan is, what you're going to be designing for, what your idea is, and then we need to start designing, and we're going to be using one of those 3 techniques from September as a start, so that next week we can carry on with a bit more design if we need to, start to think about how that would work as a technical drawing for a pattern, and start to make sure that this is something that's completely doable, or maybe to expand some of your ideas if you weren't sure about what you wanted to do. So get working practically today. I'd like you to hopefully have something visual ready for next week so that we can use that at the beginning of the session to really truly get on with the practical making. Okay?